Thanks very much, Catherine, for being with us. It's truly a turning point in the US presidential race. Many would say that it was just a matter of time for Biden to pull out of the race. But how do you see the campaign taking shape from now on?
Well, Kamala Harris, the vice president, has a great deal of support from Capitol Hill Democrats. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have been working quietly behind the scenes, showing their polling data to President Biden and saying, look, our data shows that you just cannot win. You have to step aside for the vice president. So this is the scenario that they were asking for. And now really what the Democratic Party has to do is unite behind Kamala Harris with just a short time left until the election, only about 100 some odd days left until Americans go to the polls. Democrats really need to run a tight, focused ship to make sure she can beat President Trump.
Catherine, you're joining us from Washington. What are some of the reactions coming in? We've, of course, seen Trump's reaction there on Truth Social. In a very Trump-like response, he said crooked Joe Biden was never fit to serve as president. But how have some of the Democrats reacted to this? Because while, of course, many of the top Democrats, including former President Barack Obama, joined the chorus in asking Joe Biden to withdraw from the race. But how do you see Democrats reacting to this? Because as you said, the only solution, the viable solution that they have is to unite behind Kamala Harris, with President Biden himself endorsing her.
That's right. And so I've been watching some of the early reaction pouring in here in Washington, D.C. We heard from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who praised Joe Biden's decision as patriotic. I'm seeing other House Democrats saying that Joe Biden had a fantastic one-term presidency where he accomplished a great deal for the American people. They are absolutely praising this decision as the right step. Now, what's more interesting is over on the Republican side. I just saw the statement from Speaker Mike Johnson as I was getting on with you. Speaker Mike Johnson says that this decision invalidates the will of American voters who selected Joe Biden to be the Democratic presidential nominee. Other House Republicans are saying that if Joe Biden can't run for re-election, then he is unfit to serve as president for the next 6 months. I expect to see a lot of debate over the legality, the validity of this decision. This is far from over in terms of reaction on Capitol Hill.
That's right. In fact, the latest post there, Catherine, is that this is an unprecedented juncture in American history, is what Mike Johnson says. We must be clear about what just happened. The Democrat Party forced the Democrat nominee off the ballot just over 100 days before the election. So, very interesting choice of words there by Mike Johnson.
Right, absolutely. As I mentioned, he is absolutely going to pursue this line of questioning, saying that it invalidates the will of the American voters. He has already been joined by other House Republicans who are saying very similar things. I don't think we're going to hear the end of this. We're going to see election challenges because Republicans are going to argue that this is an invalid decision. But I want to step back and remind viewers that we have not yet held the convention. Joe Biden was not yet officially appointed the nominee of his party.
That's right.
That is the purpose of a convention. So this was a clear part of the election process where Joe Biden could step away before he'd officially become his party's nominee in mid-August.
Catherine, before I let you go, how do you see this, in a sense, strengthening the case for Donald Trump and strengthening the Republican campaign? Because as we've been discussing, the assassination attempt had already sort of given him that sort of media mileage and, of course, a lot of sympathy from across the world and not just in the US. But how do you see this impacting the campaign for the Republicans and indeed for the Democrats as well? Because there was a lot of sort of pressure on him to quit, to withdraw, and many people just thought that Joe Biden is too old to, in a sense, run for office again. But how do you see that, in a sense, strengthening the Republican campaign as well, given the fact that Joe Biden himself was growing increasingly unpopular?
Well, I think it's important to remember that Donald Trump wanted to run against Joe Biden because of that age issue. He felt like that was a really strong talking point for his campaign. He wanted to run against Joe Biden. Now the race is completely reset. He is going to be running against a younger, woman of color, which gives a very different look for the presidential race. It is no longer two men in their late 70s and 80s. It is now a very different race.